News. Okay. Okay. Welcome to everyone for this live session from Minnesota Tamil Changam. So we are going to do today for the Special Olympics of Minnesota. So we are warm welcome to Emma for the delegation service manager from Special Olympics of Minnesota in Nell. He is the program assistant plus the SOMN athlete. And then we have Bonnie. She's the Tiger team in Farmington. So Emma, you can go ahead and start your presentation. So thank you again for joining.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right, is my screen? Oh, perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Emma, as Ram
Yes.
introduced me. Emma from Special Olympics Minnesota. I'm the Delegation Services Manager. I started in November, and it's been so much fun, and I love doing what I do. It's a blast. So we're going to tell you a little bit about Special Olympics Minnesota today, here with Nell and Bonnie, who are essential members of that team. Bonnie is an awesome head of delegation, and we'll talk a little bit about the structure of Special Olympics Minnesota, but she can kind of talk about her team specifically and what the structure of that looks like and sports that they offer. And then Nell is kind of the expert in all things school. Nell is a athlete and someone that works in our office at Special Olympics Minnesota. She's kind of the expert in everything. She's my go-to. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about everything today. So Special Olympics Minnesota, what is it? Who are we? What's our deal, right? So, how is my screen going?
Yes. We are
It's,
able to see yours. Yeah.
okay. Slide is not moving to the next one. Oh, there we go. Okay, I figured it out. So about us, we use sports to grow self-esteem, social skills, physical fitness, and leadership. But most importantly, giving people a chance to be included and build relationships here in Minnesota. So sports is kind of that thing for everyone, right? So it's just becomes a great place to grow community and inclusion, and that's kind of our number one mission is to create inclusion and acceptance for people with intellectual disabilities, and we do that through sport and competition. But we also offer healthcare programming, leadership and advocacy training, and school programming as well. Yeah, so what sports? Ram sent me a couple questions, so I'm going to go through some of these. So it says like a question at the top. I probably got it in an email and just want to make sure we cover it. So,
Okay.
what sports does Special Olympics Minnesota offer? So we have 16 official state level sports and different types of competitions. So we have regional competitions and state competitions, but we also have invitationals and recreational sports. So year-round training. So we still have sports seasons. We'll have different sports at different times of the year. It doesn't always match up with like a traditional school sports season. So we can have kind of different differences in that if you have younger athletes. We try to kind of get around some of those. I know Minnesota high school can be pretty strict about when, athletes are training and stuff. So yeah, just being aware of those things. But most of the time we find a way around that. So year-round training to improve physical wellness and socialization. We offer a bunch of different sports that I'll show on the next slide. But we have, like for the structure, we have about 250 delegations throughout the state. And a delegation is like when you watch the Olympics, it's the delegation from the USA or the delegation from, Norway or something. Delegations are our teams. So you'll hear us using those interchangeably, delegation, team. But within a delegation, there are like different sports that can be offered. And really it's up to the delegation itself, what sports they can offer and what they want to offer. And so like I'll bring Bonnie on here in a little bit to talk about like what her team would offer, for example, and how their kind of structure works. But that's kind of our structure of it. And then they have teams within a delegation. So you'll have a basketball team, a softball team during different seasons and stuff. So, and every delegation can have a different one. So it's kind of cool. Here are the sports that we offer. Here the seasons are like, so the months here, that's when the competitions are. So you'll do trainings or you'll do practices leading up to these dates. So that kind of gives you a good general sense of the seasons for some of these. So we kind of go about like fall, winter, spring, summer seasons, and they culminate in big state competitions. Some of them just go to state competition. Some we just don't have as many people to do regional competitions. Some of our less popular sports like tennis, we don't necessarily have a ton of delegations that offer them, so it doesn't make sense to do a regional competition, so they just go to state. But some like poly hockey, it's a huge one, and we have a bunch of different teams there. So they qualify with their regional scores, and then they go to a state competition from there. So yeah, kind of helps get people prepared too at a regional competition for those state level competitions and understanding competition etiquette and just getting to meet teams from all over the state. It's a blast. I went to my first poly hockey state tournament this year, and it was so much fun. And it went to like double overtime and a shootout. It was a blast to watch. So anyways. Actually, Bonnie, do you want to talk a little bit about your team structure before I get into like athletes and stuff?
Sure, I can do that. I mean, every team can design their structure the way they want them to be, and I mean, we can change it up to whatever there is a need for. And I'm at this point that I'm thinking about adding on another position. So we have a team of 5 of us that consists of me as head of delegation. Then there is Rochelle, who runs our fundraising. We have another person that runs all the paperwork, both for athletes and for the coaches, and that would be Julie. And then we have I'm co-HOD with Kyle. He just assists me with finding space. And then we have Anna, who helps with overseeing our finances. So that's kind of our team overall. Things that we do is pretty much what we can offer. If we have coaches that can run those sports, and sometimes it's parents. And I'll be real. I mean, sometimes it's hard to find coaches, and parents step up and coach. And that's not always easy for everyone. Not everyone can do that. But some things like Julie and her husband Bob do bowling, because it's not like a really heavy sport where it's more individual sports. So some people just do those individual sports instead of those team sports. So there, as far as I'm concerned, for Special Olympics, people say, well, I'm not a sports person. Well, you certainly can be a sports person, because there's a place there for everybody. You don't have to be doing huge team sports. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point too. Yeah, we had a powerlifting competition. They're definitely like individual sports that can kind of be suited to everyone. So I think that's a great point, Bonnie, also.
Right.
Yeah, kind of what you want to make of it too. And we have athletes that will, if one team that is close to them offers some of the sports that they want to do, but doesn't offer others, we can look for them to find another team, kind of close by that does offer those sports. They can be a part of 2 teams or 2 delegations. It doesn't,
Yes.
we just want them to be able to participate in what they want to participate in. So
yeah, like we can't offer like downhill skiing or snowboarding. That's just, I mean, I've tried to look into spaces for that, and that's just very difficult, because you really need to have parents involved to make that activity run. But there's other teams that people can join if they want to go do that type of activity. So, and equestrian's another one of those that's very unique, and there are only certain teams that may be offering equestrian. So one I would like to offer, but haven't been able to get a local organization to start it. But it's okay. It's what it is. So
yeah. And Bonnie does a great job. She's got a huge delegation of mostly younger athletes, but they are always in a competition. They are just always raring to go. They're a great team. So you're in great hands with Bonnie over there. She's a great leader for that team. All right, I'll move on to who can participate in sports. So there are about, I guess that kind of gives you a number of like how many athletes we have in our programming. We welcome athletes, people of all ages, both with and without intellectual disabilities. If you want to get involved, we will find a place for you to get involved. And I'll go through here a little bit about the difference between a traditional athlete, a unified partner, a young athlete, and then we can talk a little bit at the end about kind of volunteering coaches where to find more information on all of that. But yeah, we just want to provide as many opportunities for everyone. So a traditional athlete, those would be folks that are eligible to participate as athletes. So you have to be 8 years old, and then there's no cap for the age. You can participate until you're 97, and you can barely move. We're not gonna stop you, and as long as you're safe. And identified by a professional agency, so that they would have an intellectual disability, cognitive delay, or closely related developmental disability. Basically, you get it signed off by a physician, but we're not gonna like police say like, well, that's not. It's like if a doctor says yes, you qualify for that, then we kind of take them at their and be like, yep, all right. We are not experts in at the state office. I don't know if any of us have I don't think any of us have a PhD or anything in psychology or anything like this. So we're going to trust the physicians on their analysis on that. Those who qualify, they got to go through athlete registration. Basically, they'll go through a physical, non-invasive, but just to make sure that they're good to participate in sport and that they understand concussion protocols and other bits of information that they need. So athlete code of conduct, all that stuff. So. And each sports season is going to have different deadlines for placing new athletes. So keeping those deadlines in mind is good. And that will be on the athlete's webpage also. It'll have a list of those deadlines. A unified partner is someone who maybe they don't have intellectual disabilities, or maybe you have someone who maybe doesn't technically qualify as an athlete, but they're maybe on the cusp of that. They're like, they have some delays or something, but a doctor said maybe they wouldn't qualify as this. They could totally participate as a unified partner. And unified partners, we have certain sports that like they participate with the athletes, and they're on the same team. So we have, I think, unified football, flag football, unified basketball, and I think we're even starting to have more recreational sports for unified soccer. So it's a great opportunity for people to get involved. And if you're a parent and you like playing, soccer with your child and you want to be on a team with them, I don't know how divisioning works. It might be like more like age similarities would be probably better on a team, but definitely something you could talk to your team about joining. And then we have young athletes. Young athletes are children between the ages of 2 and 7 with and without intellectual disabilities, and they take part in sports skills. And not every team has a young athletes program. So if you have questions about wanting to get your child involved in young athletes, you can reach out to me or anyone at the state office, and we'll get you connected to our young athletes staff. I don't know if, Nell, you have more to say about young athletes. You're kind of, a little bit more than I do about that, maybe. Nope. Okay. That's her. How do I become an athlete? It's a lot of links here, but that's kind of what it is. It's a lot of paperwork to become an athlete, but you only have to do it every 3 years. So it's not a heavy lift. It's just kind of getting that doctor's appointment scheduled and getting those papers scanned in and sent to us. Let us know what sports you're interested in. And then it's part of my job actually to take a look at that when that paperwork comes my way and say, okay, what teams offer the sports that you're interested close to you, and we try to get you in an age group, or try to get our athlete in an age group that is most similar to them or to their peers. So we try to do that as best we can. Doesn't always work out, but we try our darndest to find a team that's going to work best for everyone. So yeah. So if you want these links, I can also send them to Ram or anyone else at the end, and we can kind of disperse those as well. Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. This kind of goes into that. Where can I find that athlete medical release form? It's the same basically. So I'll send that link as well. But that was one of the questions that came up. So the athlete medical release form, it's going to be a part of that athlete application, and the instructions for that application will be on the first page too. So, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'll give my contact information as well. This was a good question. How is it different from Paralympics? I realize I used the same information here to kind of lead into that, but kind of hitting on that like intellectual disabilities piece. Basically, I actually pulled this from Special Olympics Australia's website because I think it's good kind of information to have. There are different ways that we structure Paralympics and Special Olympics. So there are other differences, but the main difference in participation is that Special Olympics welcomes all athletes with intellectual disabilities, 8 or older, and they can do all kinds of sports, and they're eligible to participate in Special Olympics. But they have to meet those criteria or those requirements to be considered an athlete. They can also have physical disabilities as well as intellectual disabilities, but that intellectual disability piece does have to be included in there. Paralympics is different in that it's more of a body, like a physical disability issue. So they kind of lay out the main categories here, which I didn't even really know what the 6 categories were. So I thought that was great information that they had. So they have to meet those criteria. So the criteria for the athletes is different. But we get that question a lot, and definitely something that you can still participate in Special Olympics if you have a physical limitation. But yeah, if you're in Paralympics, I don't know where their line is. So good question. And then I wanted to add in here also, what's the difference between Special Olympics in general and Special Olympics Minnesota? A lot of the time, this comes up a lot when people are looking us up online, actually, because we have totally different websites. We do have, we are an accredited part of the Special Olympics Incorporated, but we're a state-based organization. So that's the international one. SOI is international. SOMN is state level. So you can definitely look into more global information, but for things happening in the state of Minnesota specifically, Special Olympics Minnesota is your place to go. So definitely, if you're kind of doing a little Google search and you're reading in your free time, Special Olympics Minnesota, make sure you add that in there when you're looking us up.
Can I interject for a second? So
yeah.
He's talking about international Special Olympics. We've had an athlete who competed nationally, and he's a runner, and went down to Florida because he was able independently to be able to travel with the team and actually compete for Minnesota for the USA Games, and that was in Florida. I think, was that 2 years ago?
So, I think that's right. Yeah.
So you have to qualify at a certain level. There's different things, and it's kind of a random. Was it like a random? They pick people and then out of a hat basically, and choose those members to go, because there's a lot of people that actually would like to go to that. So
yeah, and if they qualify, yeah, I'm not sure what the selection process is. It's a good question, but yeah, definitely good to talk. Good to mention that opportunity. So yeah, it's kind of like again, based on the Olympics themselves, having people come and compete together. All the different states come, and I think Minnesota is actually hosting the USA Games in 2026. Yep. So those will be at the U of M. So we're already prepping for that, and we're excited for that. And I know the international games were in Berlin this year. So definitely lots of opportunities to be competitive in the sports, for sure. Thank you for that, Bonnie. Are there any fees to participate as an athlete? Kind of depends on the team, kind of depends on the sport. Some teams are going to have equipment. Other teams may require athletes to provide their own. So there will be maybe cost with that. And then the only other thing that like we would charge for is the $20 at the state office, $20 fee per athlete for state competitions to cover some costs. So that's kind of the only thing there. I don't know if Bonnie, you have other input on that.
I'd have to hand it down to Rochelle, because she's an amazing fundraising person, and we usually just pull off one fundraising event a year and able to really fund our team well. Not everybody has that ability to do that. So most of our stuff is free. I mean, the $20 that she just talked about, our team will cover that cost when they are competing. Like we're going to start up softball, so it's our team members have come together and we've talked about like what supplies we're going to have to get, and we feel like, you know, the softball glove is up to the athlete to provide, because it's a kind of a very unique item to have. So for the most part, we provide all the shirts, we provide all the other equipment. So Yeah. And again, it's back to like the delegations. Like if you want your own gear, like we have snowshoeing that goes on in the wintertime, and there's a few people that say, well, we have our own snowshoes. I'm like, that's totally fine. You can use your own gear. There's nothing wrong with that. So
absolutely. Then the last slide I have here is about upcoming events. I know there are some other questions that I can talk about here in a sec. But for the slides, listed our events calendar is great on the website. They work really hard on it. So I always direct people there, upcoming events for the state office. But I don't know if there's a way, Bonnie, for you if there's a way for people to find out more about your delegation or what's coming up with you guys. Don't know if there's like a newsletter or anything, but some delegations would have listed for their specific delegation as well.
Yeah, we've never gone that route yet. So that has been a discussion we've talked about. So, but no, we haven't gone because we're not quite that big. We may be getting there that we have to do that soon.
Well, if you have any questions about upcoming events for the Tigers, you can reach out to Bonnie, I guess.
That's usually the way we handle it. Unfortunately, it's, we don't have a formal registration at this point. That may come down the line at some point. We just communicate mostly through email. So
yeah, 100%. So I'll stop sharing my screen and go through the rest of the questions on here. Is my screen still sharing?
No.
No.
Oh, fantastic. It is for me, but I can't see anything. That's okay. I will talk into the black screen, into the blank screen. So the other questions that I had here were about what region of Special Olympics, what regional area do I belong to? We could like kind of tell you, but it's kind of not as important as it used to be. We used to do things a lot by area. Now it's really just about kind of what location you're in. We used to have area competitions. Now we just have regionals, and you can go to whichever regional competition your team wants to go to. You're not, subject to being only in your area. So we're kind of trying to move away from that because we found that it was kind of limiting people's understanding of where they could and couldn't go or whatever. But if you have questions on what delegations are close to you, you can always reach out to me, or we have a map that's in progress. I wouldn't say it's like the best resource right now, but by the end of April, I'm going to have it fully updated with all the information for all the delegations that offer sports. And then you can kind of Google map, like, okay, how far is that delegation and all that stuff. So that'll be a really great resource that we're putting a lot of energy into. Upcoming events, athlete registration for competitions. So competitions are registered for by the head of delegation or a coach. So you don't have to go through any of that process as long as you're with the team and they're going to practices, and then the coach or the HOD should be registering them for tournaments and competitions. Where can I donate? So you can donate on our website, SpecialOlympicsMinnesota.org. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says donate there. So if you want to drop us some cash, please, that'd be fantastic. And if you want to donate it to a specific team, make sure if you are not sure what their team code is or what their team name is, you can always reach out and we'll make sure. But if you don't put like a team name and you want it to be for a specific team, we have a really small accounting department of like 1 or 2. So they don't always know, like if it's not noted on there, it goes into the general account. It doesn't go to a specific team. So something to note. How do I become a volunteer? I love that question. You can become a volunteer also by looking on our website. And this kind of goes with coaching as well. But volunteers can be kind of day of event volunteers. So if you want to go to like one competition and kind of help, we have like people help with awards, they help serve food, they help. We have some people that are kind of interested in sports, but you can't commit to, a lot of time. Like you could come and run score tables at some events.
Be a timer.
Say that again.
Be a timer.
Be a timer. Yes, that's excellent. And then coaches, that's a little bit more of a time commitment. You would have to fill out just your there are different levels of coaches, and I don't know. So level 1 coaches, that's kind of like it's a general 20-minute walkthrough kind of a virtual form that you submit, and then we run a background check. And then once that's submitted, if you know what team you want to be with, you kind of note it on your application, and we'll set you up with that team. If you don't know, then you'll talk to our coaching placement staff, and they will get you connected to a team that hopefully offers the sports that you're interested in and is close to you. And then coaching, if you want to coach a specific sport, you would need to fill out your level 2 coaching. And that just kind of walks you through that specific sports requirements and things. So it depends kind of what you want to do. Again, it's kind of what you make it, but there are different coaching ratios that teams will need to stay within to be safe, and it's just required. So if you have questions on that, you could definitely reach out to me, or even Bonnie if you're looking for more coaches in the Farmington area. Bonnie can tell you what sports maybe specifically they're interested, they need coaches in.
We'd probably use anybody across the board let's say, for instance, basketball, we have a pretty big team, and we really need more assistance. Even if it's just parents, is it just more secondary coaches? Because we'll probably run 2 or 3 teams this year. I don't think we'll get to 3, but we might have 3 for doing 3-on-3 basketball. We'll have to see what ends up happening. But we don't have a swim coach right now, and that's why we couldn't offer it, because we lost our swim coach just before COVID, and she ended up pushing out of the country for a while and came back to the States, but she doesn't live in Minnesota. So, and she was fabulous. We had her for years and years and years. It was amazing. So, and same thing with my basketball coach. He's been with us probably as long as I've been HOD, and he's fabulous. So, but because of him, our team has grown. Our basketball team has become a pretty strong team in the area, and we really could use more support, because he's coaching for 2 hours, because we have to split the team. So, yeah. And we have plenty of parents that coach that would back off if there was somebody that wanted to lead it instead of them. So,
yeah, I know one of the questions on here was about about college credits, and it's certainly something that we can talk to college professors about if that's something that you're wanting to look into. If that's the thing kind of holding you back from coaching, we can definitely kind of talk about it at the state office level and see if we can, if there's anything we can do to help out with that, get connected with a professor or anything that you're looking for.
I've written recommendation letters for colleges and stuff too. So I've done that.
Yeah. So. And also, I think we've been talking a lot about getting athletes involved in more leadership opportunities as well. So if you have someone who's an athlete but has really great leadership qualities, and they want to be a coach and they've got the skill and to do it, absolutely. Like we say, not every person is a coach, but or has the desire to be a coach. But sometimes we have athletes that make the best coaches. So definitely something to think about also.
Yeah, I've seen that in other teams. I've used even my son with the younger kids sometimes and said, why don't you take his hand and bring him along, because he's kind of shy and he'll do that, so yeah.
Nell, did you want to, I saw that you kind of weren't on here for a little bit. So did you want to talk about schools or young athletes, or kind of your story of how you got connected with Special Olympics or anything?
Sure. Well, I got connected with Special Olympics 18 years ago. I had no job, no nothing, no friends. And I was just looking up disability services online, and Special Olympics happened to pop up first. And I always wanted to do sports, and back when I was in school, if you had a disability, you were considered a liability risk, so you couldn't participate in any kind of extracurricular activities, not even an art club. So it was very limiting on that. And I thought I'd do a couple sports, and really I just kind of ended up diving in headfirst and never looked back. I mean, I've been an athlete for 18 years. I currently participate in swimming, bowling, bocce and powerlifting. I'm an very avid and active athlete leader, so I've done coaching. I have volunteered for the Young Athletes Program. I travel the country giving speeches. I do kind of every single athlete leadership role you could partake in, even volunteering at every fundraiser known to man and participating in every fundraiser known to man. And well, when it comes to young athletes, it's for 2 to 7 year olds with and without intellectual disabilities. So I think the nice thing about that program is the fact that it's inclusive. So kids are learning early on the importance of inclusion and acceptance.
Mhm.
So then hopefully we will get rid of so many of the bullying issues when we teach kids early age about the importance of just being kind to one another and compassion, and how just making a friend with someone that with a disability can really change the world. It isn't just changing your community, it is changing the world, because it's like the domino effect. If we're kind to one, another is going to be kind to another, and so forth. And um, what other questions did you have, Emma?
Yeah, no, just like Nell does a lot of great speaking, and she's a huge advocate and really a great resource for all of us at the state office, and a real champion for athlete leadership. And I admire, I always admire her work so much. She's at every competition volunteering. She's so involved, and she's amazing. You also work with schools sometimes,
Yeah.
Nell, right?
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about the school's programming that they do, or
Yeah.
we help them out?
So some schools are what we call unified champion schools, and those schools are really active in promoting inclusion. So they will have campaigns regarding like person first, or getting rid of the R word, which is retarded. They will have campaigns on speak kindness, and other things they schools will offer is unified sports, which Emma talked is about, where people with and without disabilities are on the playing field together. Whether it's bocce, bowling, we offer unified relays and swimming and track and field. We've got unified basketball. So unified is such an important aspect that also teaches inclusion. And so we offer different types of unified schools competitions. We offer cool school plunges, where we do the regular plunges for people. Well, we also offer a mobile plunge unit that goes to the parking lots of different schools. And so that kids and teachers can raise money for Special Olympics as well. So we really try to engage these students in every way possible. We have a student board of directors, so students that can apply to be on the student board of directors, where we they take on leadership roles on what can they do to help Special Olympics and better Special Olympics, so that we can continue the momentum and really continue to engage more athletes, and hopefully in turn engage more coaches and volunteers, because we all know people, whether it's in school or out of school, we all know people that may end up wanting to be a volunteer or a coach. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of ways that we can help really empower students that we can all make a change.
Yeah, I think that just hits the nail on the head, Nell. We talk about the inclusion revolution a lot at our state office, and I think that's that unified champion schools and getting people started when they're still in school and young. I mean, these people are on fire for inclusion, and we get to see that in them advocating on Capitol Hill Day. They're going to Washington, D.C. to advocate for inclusion. I mean, it is really inspiring to see people not only advocating for, but with athletes. And I think in turn empowering athletes to speak up and say, like I would like to be included in more. I think it's great. So yeah.
That's what I love about Special Olympics is there are so many avenues to beyond sports. We have health programs. So we do free health screenings for athletes at our state competitions and regional competitions. We have the athlete leadership program, which teaches athletes like myself how to give speeches, how to volunteer, how to coach, how to be an advocate, how to do pretty much every other opportunity Special Olympics could have. So we really empower athletes, not just on the sports court or field, but also in everyday life, because all these skills carry on, whether it's in their job or other community things that they do.
I'd like to interject for a second, add on to what she has to say. I have a sophomore. My son has Down syndrome, and he attends Eastview High School in Apple Valley, and they have a unified school program. District 196 also is trying to reach back into elementary schools. So just like the communities programs, they are starting these programs as young as eight-year-olds, and they're in the middle schools right now. I don't know how far back they've gone into elementary. Some elementaries have started these programs, and often they're integrated Phi-Ed classes. So kids can sign up and be part of that Phi-Ed class, and that Phi-Ed class ends up doing competition against other schools. And it's really fun to see because it's Farmington, Lakeville. It's all the Apple Valley, Rosemont, Egan schools all come together and they have a competition, and it's a lot of fun to see. And it doesn't just have to be in high school. It can go all the way back. And if your school isn't doing it, it's just trying to make that loud voice and saying, hey, we want this in our school, and how do we make this work, and being the loud noise to keep bugging about it. So that's what it takes. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that distinction between like schools programming and the community programming as well. So because schools, they're going to compete in different ways, and then community is going to, they're kind of different avenues to be involved with Special Olympics. And you can
be part of both. There's no restriction. So you can be part of the school team that goes to basketball, and you can be part of a community team. So it's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's so inspiring to see, like, the lot of activities and the drive going behind this. Thanks to SOMN for driving this. And MNTS has been, like, actively advocating for diversity and inclusion on, particularly with people with intellectual disabilities, right? So I had one question, right? So a lot of good questions and responses about the individual participation. As an organization, like, how can we partner with SOMN, right? Either with, it could be on increasing the volunteering base, or it could be, promoting your initiatives and events to the broader base, right? So I'm just wondering, like, what are the possibilities and how can we extend that to next level? I'll stop.
Yeah, I love that question. Basically any capacity you have. I mean, spreading the word, I think a lot of the time is people don't know about us. And I think that was like when Ram first reached out, he's like, I just want to share that because, we didn't know this existed, and how do we, spread the word so that.
I think that's the biggest problem, because schools aren't supposed to share. This is private information. We're not supposed to know what kids have disabilities, and they say they can't share that information. So often it is word of mouth between parents and community groups that will end up giving that information to parents. And that's what it is. It's like, hey, I know this really great organization. I think you should join it. So that's often it goes.
And then there are ways to, so I think that's fantastic, Bonnie, because Bonnie's like on the ground. She's boots on the ground doing the work. So she knows kind of the realities of being a team and understanding that piece of it. So her insight is really invaluable.
And there's times that it's super frustrating because you keep on saying the same thing, and so it sometimes takes saying it multiple times. So
yeah, I'd say other ways to get involved. You can certainly reach out to our volunteering. You could, if you wanted to, like as a group, you could volunteer too. So just asking like, hey, is there an opportunity for a group of us to come and volunteer? I know we had even like a girls soccer team come and run score tables for our poly hockey event. And that was great. We just kind of trained them all and they were able to participate that way. So just kind of being like, hey, we have this many people that would love to come volunteer. Where could you use us? So maybe looking at the calendar, seeing what events are coming up, or just getting on our radar with their volunteering. And they might reach out to you guys and say, hey, we have an event coming up near you. Would you guys be able to volunteer or get some folks together? Other than that,
we've had teams that come and polar plunged for us. We've had that.
I was just gonna say polar plunge too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So plunging, we're about to end this season, but next season maybe plunging with teams nearby, so like Farmington Tigers or a team going in. And if you're too chicken like me to jump in the water, you can. You can still raise the money and throw a rubber chicken in the water instead if you're too chicken to jump. So
we also offer a lot of different fundraisers throughout the year. We've done Tip-A-Cops, we've done plane pulls, we've done golf tournaments.
Yeah.
So there's so many, even if you don't want to do the plunge, which I do, of course, but there are those that don't. But we offer so many different fundraisers, so there are always ways to take part in other fundraisers, even if it isn't the plunge.
Yeah. So I'd say if there's an interest and you're not sure kind of at the end of this, like, hey, we think we want to volunteer or something, or we're not sure where to go, please shoot me an email and we can kind of chat about some options. But like if individually you want to, like people want to volunteer, please, like reach out to our volunteering folks. And that's also on the website with Get Involved under volunteer or coaching. Those would probably be the two places I would direct you. So under that Get Involved tab at the top of our website page, that's going to have good information for you.
Good. I have a couple of questions. So one was highlighting the become athlete. So is that a person who is in ADHD, is that eligible? Because I'm just specifically asking a couple of things. So can you highlight that point mostly? Yeah.
Like that, if ADHD would qualify as an eligibility?
Yeah.
It's a good question because I think it probably depends. Basically, I would refer to a doctor. I think if you think that your athlete qualifies, then they probably do. That's kind of where I fall on it. But kind of leave it up to the doctor if they say yes or no. If you think that they really do, we're not going to say no. Like we're going to, we want everyone to be included. So sure. I think if you're on the fence about, I don't know if it's severe enough or something, we're not going to say, no, you're not severe enough of a case, So I think, yeah, definitely just talk to a doctor about it and see what they say. But if you have any questions on it.
We do have a few people on our team that are mildly intellectually disabled. And it's mild. I mean, you wouldn't really notice that they have an intellectual disability. It's just but the doctor signed off on it. So I'm like, that's fine with me. So we've also had people that come. I had an assistant coach last year for about 2 years. He graduated from Lakeville North and he was on the autism spectrum. But he never felt as though that he was able to be an athlete. So he was assisting with coaching. So, I mean, he was going on to get a 4-year degree in coaching. So that was what he wanted, some experience, and that's what he did. So.
Oh, that sounds great. And the other question about the unified partner. So if the person who is non-intellectual disabilities, the person is joining, playing along with that sports, right? So is that any credit goes to that person?
Like for like a college credit or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I haven't heard of it happening. That doesn't mean that it couldn't ever.
Okay.
It's definitely something that we can talk about at the state office. And like, I think it's kind of, if your college is okay with it, we'll sign off and say you're there, yep. But there's no like program kind of set in place to that. So I think it'll probably depend on the professor and what they're willing to count or not towards credit. So,
well, a lot of schools now, including college and all the way into high school and middle school, they require you to do X amount of volunteer work. So that is often where I get a lot of people, is they need to do X amount of volunteer work, so they come and do stuff for us. It could be, behind the scenes stuff. They've done stuff for me there, and they've also done it helped with assisting with coaching or being a unified partner. And unified partner, I mean, basketball's our team is heavily unified because we have a lot of younger athletes. I mean, it is starting to change a little bit in basketball because we have some older people that have grown up and know how to play basketball and do not need the unified members to help run the ball across the back and forth over the court. So it kind of depends about which one it is. But yeah, I mean, they're the ones that really kind of keep that person motivated, or all the people motivated, and keep the team together. So, yeah.
And the last question is about playing in interstate competitions, right? Is anything other states, like state across sports competition?
Yes, I think Bonnie was kind of talking a little bit about that, where one of her athletes was able to go and competed in Florida. And so I haven't been through one of those cycles yet, but I do know that they do compete against other states. I don't know if Bonnie, you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have Tyler is his name. He's I think 26. He wasn't. I'm hoping that he'll be able to come back this year because he broke his hip at work. So he's been trying to recover. But he's an amazing runner and very, very fast, and was able to qualify just before the pandemic to go to the National Special Olympics event, and that was in Florida. So there's some criterion that you have to pass, and an application. We had another individual that was going to do it too, but I think they ended up moving to a different state, and he was going to do it for swimming. So again, they were usually older. They have to be independent enough to go on their own with the team. So, and parents don't travel with them. So, and all their expenses are paid for. And so his parents flew down there and watched his competition, and they flew back. So, and they have a good time. They're gone for, I think, at least a week, I think it was. So he won, I think he ended up winning a silver after all that in his event, I think. And there was a bronze for shot put, I think, that he had. So also very awesome opportunity, but many times it isn't for the younger kids until they get probably older, unless they're more independent. I mean, it all depends who they are. So
Nell, have you had any experience with or known anyone that's gone to a state competition? I've never asked you that.
I know people who've gone to USA Games and World Games. I have qualified. And tried, but didn't make it in the selection. But hopefully one of these years. But I've had the chance to actually go to national games just as a public speaker.
Nice.
Back when it was in Seattle. So got to go and kind of watch the ceremony and stuff. So it does seem like an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I know that try to sign up for it. I know our basketball team last year that did 3-on-3 ended up qualifying for what will happen here in Minnesota. So we'll see. One of them moved away to Pennsylvania, so he'd have to come back. So we'll have to see.
Sure. And I just want to again, highlighting that the age limit of this, like what is the minimum and maximum? Can you highlight that again one more time, please?
Yeah, the minimum age for competition or practices and stuff at the is 8, and then there's no maximum age. You can do as long as you are able, basically.
Okay.
Same with Unified Partners. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think coaching, you have to be 16.
Yeah.
Maybe I think 16 to be a coach.
It is 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
And both,
Mhm.
sorry, both coaches and Unified Partners will fill out that level 1 form also.
Okay. Yeah.
My team has a good partnership with our local, middle school, or not middle, high school swim team, and their swim team will go for special Olympics and go at 16 on up. So
Nice.
Thank you, Emma. But maybe Bonnie, we can share your pictures. Maybe you can go through a couple of things so that people can understand how the Special Olympics.
Yeah, I tossed him some pictures that we had from our previous competitions, and I just kind of gave him some ideas what it looks like. I guess people kind of curious.
Sure, I think Senthil, can you share the pictures, please? Because he's the one who has that picture, so
it's okay. No worries.
he's here. Mute just a minute.
No worries.
Let me see if I'm able to share my screen. Let me do. Few minute, I can share my screen if possibly it's not available right now.
Ram, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome, Dr. Aya. So, if Dr. Aya wanted to say a few words, he can.
I'm a pediatric gastroenterologist, and all your informations are very helpful. And even though I am a pediatrician, I was not aware of many of the facts which you guys were telling, and it's very informational even to me. And thank you for all your service.
Oh, for sure. And we do this volunteer-wise, at least from the delegation down. We are all volunteers. We do it because I do it because I want my son to have sports and people to do sports with. I want them to have the socialization, and I want them to be interacting. And since COVID, I've heard many day programs have kind of fallen off the cliff, and so it's socialization and keeping active is, if it's physically, if not mentally, is really important. So that's why we keep it going. Yeah, that's what drives me.
So somebody said, God gives ordinary children to ordinary parents and give extraordinary children to extraordinary parents. Taking care of these children with special needs, I know as a physician what it takes, and God bless all of you.
It's a marathon. It's just keep it going. It's always a marathon. It's like trying to get to the next finish line, whatever that is.
Hats off to you.
Thank you. So this is poly hockey, actually just before COVID. So this is one of our coaches that we had, and so you can just flip through a few of the pictures, and so it was a hot competition. This was so, and it was against another South Minneapolis team, and the guy that's in yellow, and this is gymnastics. Okay, yeah, the guy that's in yellow, he was playing goalie, and it got interesting because he was on the floor a lot. We were having a hard time making a goal, but they were just a little bit better than us. So we ended up getting silver, which was fine.
Yeah.
You can go to the next one. Okay, that's actually my son at gymnastics, and this is during COVID last year because they didn't really have a lot of competitions going on, but we did a little mini meet at Farmington Gymnastics and Cheer. So, and that was one of the coaches, and that's actually my son, Anthony. So. I don't have a lot of snowshoeing, but this is one of them. And I don't have a whole lot from this year. And they're just practicing out in the field, learning how to run in the snowshoes. And Blair is our coach, and he runs them up and down hills, tries to get them to use the snowshoes and use their muscles in their legs. So, and it's just like walking, believe it or not, it's pretty easy. So. Mm-hmm. And this was a regional bocce ball. So that is Blair. He was assisting me with bocce ball because it was his first year learning how to coach. So he was assisting me. I'm lead coach for bocce. So that's just a picture of us. That was all we had for a team. That was not last year, but the year before. So some more poly hockey. As you can tell, we got some young ones. They're a little bigger now. Some more poly hockey. They call it poly hockey because the stick is made out of poly. It's not your typical wood stick that you would use for, ice hockey. Some more bocce. That is the field that we are standing next to. The white rectangle on the right or left side, and they were introducing each competitions against each other, and that was the guy in blue was the referee. So it actually got between my son and another individual, it got pretty hot. My son got nervous at the very end of his throwing his last ball. He ended up getting a silver because he threw it too hard, and the other guy ended up getting his ball closer. So it's actually a field we play in, and you go back and forth. It's not like your backyard bocce. So you can continue. It's all right. Some more gymnastics. That's little Miss Jordan. She's pretty awesome. She's also come a long way. So some more bocce. That's the field that you're standing in behind us. They go back and forth. There's a center line that they have to throw the balls on. It's actually a really pretty chill sport, and it can be adapted to people that are in wheelchairs. Continue. That's our gymnastics team. So most of them have come back from last year. So definitely fun. Some more gymnastics at the very end. That's a family. Us at bocce. Regional bocce. That's David and his mom in the back kind of helping him to throw the ball because he needed some verbal cues to keep him going. That was poly hockey 2 years ago. A lot of those guys are bigger. It's so funny to see. Some more poly hockey. Poly hockey is one of our favorites. We really have a great time. It's a good sport. That was bocce. And basically they end up coming at the very end. You get awards. And for like your regional events, you get ribbons. And for the state competition, you get medals. And a lot of the athletes all really want medals. And not everyone gets a medal, but we all do our best. So to try to get a medal. So that's us snowshoeing. Beautiful. Thank you.
I think maybe, I don't know if there's more questions or anything, but maybe to close this out, if Nell at the end, you want to lead us through the athlete pledge. It just reminded me when Bonnie said with the medals and stuff. Because I just always think that's a good way to.
It can get very competitive. Sometimes you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that. The oath is, let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Thank you.
Were there any more questions that came up?
Ram, you there? I think Ram got disconnected.
Technology. Well, I will send Ram a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was talking on mute, so it was thanks for taking that question about the kind of the claim on that's going viral on the social media about acetaminophen and associated, intellectual disability, right? So, yeah, thanks for doing that, and probably, yeah. So I think the question, whatever I had about the organizational partnership, so that was pretty clear, right? So we would continue to work with you to see, how well we can extend the partnership on enabling this, right? Over to you, Ram.
Sorry, it was a battery run off, so I just the back. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Emma and Bonnie and me. Thank you so much. A lot of information. It's very useful. I think it reached more people. I think maybe a lot of people are contacting you guys in offline. And I can go ahead and share your emails if they ask, right? Is that okay? Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thanks for the meeting. Is there anything else you guys want to highlight?
Thanks for having us. I think, like I said, just getting the word out that we exist and what we do is immensely helpful in just that mission of creating more inclusion and creating more opportunities for athletes and stuff. So I appreciate the time that it took to reach out and set this all up. And thanks for running it. And really appreciate you giving us time to talk about what we do and why we love what we do. So we hope to work with you on some volunteer stuff in the future. Or if there's anything, Ron will share our emails, and please feel free to reach out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really an eye-opener session. Thank you very much for taking your valuable time and presenting for us. So we didn't have any much idea about this. This information is very helpful, and it's really a big awareness session for us. So I hope it will be very helpful for others too who has been listening on our social media, and it's going to be there. Our live session is going to be there. So even if it is not right now, they might be watching it later on in the time. And
Sure.
Thank you very much for taking your time on a weekend. And Ram, thank you very much for arranging this. So yeah, it was very helpful. Priya, Nirmal, do you want to add anything?
No, just Thank you so much, and it was really informative and a great session. I myself, I didn't know many things that's happening connecting this, so it was very informational, and we will cascade this to all our community people, so they can reach out to you. And like somebody over here said, winning is not the goal. At least we should keep trying. So that's a great motivational thought, and thank you all.
Well, and at the parent level, I'd like to just say that this is your community, and you find out about the next stage or the next thing or whatever next activity or other opportunities by being part of Special Olympics. It isn't just doing the sports and things like that. It's your community. It is, and these are people that your kids will meet, and they will grow up together, and they'll be lifelong friends. So both unified and non-unified. That's just the way it ends up being.
Yep. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah. I just want to say thanks too. And this is very great informative. I just want to say I wish I'd known before a little long ago, like a couple of years ago. My friend was having a child, was like struggling, and then they were trying to find resources. They didn't have any, and I didn't have any idea either. So, like, this is. I wish I had known before. Thank you, though.
Yeah, and I was going to add to it, like, as we are looking for expanding diversity and inclusion, identifying people with intellectual disability, like, who can join our leadership team, right? So, and sports is an enabler for bringing the community together and identify the right people, like, who can join us as well, right? So that's another way of probably a selfish motto behind these partnership too, right? So we have great venue, and thanks for doing this. And this is in sports and arts, right? Are real good opportunity for us to bring those minority community or underserved community to the broader platform and limelight, right? So it's an aspiring initiative, and thanks to everyone behind this, and thanks for you three, right, to come forward to share your valuable weekend with us, right? So great show.
Thank you. Yeah, and what you said exactly is what's in my heart. I want to reach across all diversity, and it doesn't matter who you are. I'd like to be able to help you get on the team, or a team. Help anyone.
And I think the self-declaration is a huge challenge, in this particular space. Right? I mean, it doesn't matter, for any diversity genre, right? So it's a challenge, but yeah, this is going to help us at least to break that barrier, right? So thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Emma, can you share those links, like what you have showed in the PPT, so that we can share to the community, like the farms link and the other couple of links you have shown, right? So you can send me offline so I can share the community if you need it. That's helpful.
I'll share them with you. Yeah.
Hey, is there anybody want to talk? Just a minute. I think we have one more team member. Okay. Just give me a minute.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I love sharing the message of all that Special Olympics is and what it can do for individuals like myself. It's life-changing. Everybody becomes like a family. You find that people are always looking out for one another in ways that you don't see in everyday community, oftentimes, unfortunately. But Special Olympics, everybody looks out for one another.
I agree. I've been competitions I've been at, and the last summer I was at the basketball, and there was a bunch of guys that play basketball, and they're like, "Oh, we talked to you before COVID," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and we had this long conversation of what they've been doing in the last couple of years, and how they were managing life and things like that, and just a couple of great guys, both with intellectual disabilities, probably really would be good self-advocates. So and they're adults living life, and enjoying being back into doing sports and being active again. And I run into people like that a lot. So
Very good. We have Ronnie also joined. Ronnie, do you want to say a few words?
Oh, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm special ed para in school. So I know how much we, have enjoy these kids. And I really looking forward, to go to school every day. And they are really, heavenly children. So every day I personally think about the parents too. So you are really, really blessed with those children. And I feel like blessed to work with this beautiful kids. And I will tell all my special friends with, your what you do, and then encourage them. And personally tell my lead to forward these informations to the parents already. So looking forward to see you guys, and I would be the first person to volunteer in your service. So
Thank you so much
for what you do and
Thank
what
you.
you
Thank
have.
you.
Yeah. Yep.
You're a good person to spread the word. So I mean, that's kind of what we need. We need people that are willing to, say, hey,
Yeah,
these
because
companies.
yes, I know children, they are so good, but I don't know where they get the exposure. But this is a very good exposure for even our community children too. So definitely it will I'll spread the word for sure.
Well, we'll be happy to have you at your first volunteering thing. We'll have to come up and say hello, and we'll chat all about it. But I appreciate that.
Oh yes. I'm part of the Sangam too.
Awesome.
And I know Ram very well, his child.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this for us. And
Absolutely.
like Sandal said, it's on Sunday. It's we are so honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think thank you all. Thank you. It's the end of session. So thank you for all your information. So I think moving forward, we'll try to reach you guys for anything like this, and I can forward this information to our community. So if any information, I'll delegate to you guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.